Hi everyone, my name is Chris Hong and I'm an artist, and welcome back to my channel for another video. So this week I have a gouache illustration to share with you guys, and the idea for this piece came about when I was brainstorming ideas for the Gnome Sweet Gnome piece, the Mushroom House piece. So these three paintings that evolved from that drawing session, they all revolve around these three characters. And if you're not already familiar with them, the girl is based off of me, and the boy is based off my boyfriend, and the cat is a fictional character, because I don't actually have a cat, but the cat is supposed to be the little girl's cat. And the cat is often not very pleased with the fact that there's another boy there competing for her attention. So what this painting is about in this little series I have going on is the girl and the boy are on their first date at a cafe, and I really wanted to get through the sense that there's a strong connection between the two characters and sparks are flying between them, and they are clearly meant to be together while the cat watches in horror from outside. And as I was coming up with the idea for this piece, it kind of reminded me of Norman Rockwell's work. More specifically, this one called After the Prom, and this dining room table one called Freedom from Want. This one from Norman Rockwell is what I took inspiration from for the lighting in my painting. There is a big window which is the source of light, and the figures are backlit from the light, and they are nicely silhouetted against it. And don't quote me on this, but I believe in this Norman Rockwell's piece, this Freedom from Want piece, I believe it has been exposed for the shadows. So exposing for shadows and exposing for highlights is a very effective way of making a very strong lighting statement and creating a very strong sense of light, and it really helps create an area of focus in your work because you're directing the audience's eyes where to go. Where is the necessary and important information? Is it in the shadows? Well, then expose for the shadows. So the lights kind of fall from the hierarchy. They are blown out, so there's not much information there. Therefore, you're not rewarded for looking in the lights. You're rewarded for looking into shadows because there's much more information. And similarly, if there's important things in the lights, then expose for the highlights so that the shadows, where there isn't any important information in there, they will be grouped as a shape that doesn't call out for attention because the values will be closer together in relationship to each other. So in our case here, for example, the most important thing is the connection between these two figures. They are enamored with each other, they are staring deeply into each other's souls, and what's not important is what's outside of the cafe. That is not important. The cat is secondary. He's not as important. So the values there have to be very, very, very subtly different from each other so that it all groups as one big shape, and your eyes are not drawn to that area first, because I want you guys to look at the girl and the boy first. Another challenge I had with this piece was the architectural elements, and if you guys have seen any of my older work, you'll notice that there are hardly any architectural elements, if any at all, because they're very hard for me. But I really wanted to challenge myself in this piece. So actually I decided to take inspiration from this really cool cafe that my boyfriend and I went to back in, a couple years ago in Montreal. It was this really cool cafe, and there were vines hanging from above and somehow roses attached to the vines. I didn't quite examine them to see how the roses were attached to the vines, but they were just hanging off from the vines, and it was so beautiful. And it had a really cool vibe. I believe the cafe is called Tommy, and this is totally a tangent, but we stumbled into this cafe by accident when we were actually trying to get into Olive and Gourmando, which is this highly rated popular cafe slash bakery in Montreal. And We tried to get into this cafe, I swear, 3 times, but every time it was closed for some reason, some weird holiday that we didn't know about because we're not from Quebec, or they had some kind of event going on or something like that. It was closed every time, and it was our last day in Montreal, and lo and behold, it was closed again, and we were so sad. But we ended up going to the Tommy instead, and we ended up loving it. So, and fun fact, when you type in cafe on Pinterest, this is the first image, this cafe is the first image that pops up. And I don't know if it's just me and my Pinterest, and somehow Pinterest just knows that I've been to Montreal before and this cafe before, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So since I am not very comfortable with doing any sort of architectural elements, I basically just ripped the window from the cafe straight into my work. It's almost identical, so I take 0 credit for that. It's all from the Tommy Cafe. So I have a confession to make to you guys. Unfortunately, and this is very tragic, but this painting did not turn out the way I wanted it to. And I think there are many reasons for it. I really struggle with the gouache paint itself. It was really tacky, and it became very hard to apply the paint evenly, which is pretty crucial for painting architectural elements like the walls. They need to be smoothly painted on, otherwise it looks like there's just unnecessary texture. So I had a really tough time trying to get the paint to be not so patchy looking. You know, it doesn't matter so much if you see brush strokes on the figures, because there are a lot of turning edges on the figures, but on walls, it should be a smooth gradient, and it was really hard to achieve. But that's not the only reason. I actually can't really seem to point out exactly what it is that bothers me about this piece, but I feel like there is something missing, or it's just not 100% there. And it's very tragic, because I thought going into this piece I had everything all ready to go, and it was kind of foolproof. I had a good drawing, I had good planning, I knew exactly what I wanted in my head, and I had something to refer to. I had Norman Rockwell works to refer to for inspiration and stuff, so I didn't expect this piece to go awry. But at some point it did, and at some point I just kind of fell out of love with it. And it's so sad, because I spent so long on it this whole past week, and I was just generally really excited for this accidental series that I had of these little gnome characters based off of me and my boyfriend, and I just thought it was so cute. And it just so happened that, it's Valentine's Day around the corner. I have these lovey-dovey pieces that are in a series, and I thought it'd be a really cool idea to put like a little Valentine's Day bundle together. And my idea was 3 prints for $69, and the sale would run until Valentine's Day. But as I was starting to lose my confidence for this piece, I had to accept that, I don't want to make a print of something that I'm not completely happy with, even though it'd be a really cool idea, and the obsessive part of me wants to complete the series. It's just not working, so I had to accept that. And there will be more in the series. I'll definitely be expanding it as I go, because I think it's really cute. And since it's based off of my own life, there are many ideas that can kind of sprout from it, so it's kind of an endless source of inspiration. I know some of you guys are going to look at this and think, that is not bad, you're crazy, you're being way too hard on yourself, you're being too negative. And it's funny, because my last video was about that, about being very critical of my own work and how that can come across to other people. I know a lot of you guys left very long and detailed comments. I haven't read through all of them. I had a pretty busy week this past week, but I will try to get to the comments. At least I will try to read them. I definitely cannot respond to every single comment, but I really appreciate it. And I want you guys to know that I didn't quite make this clear in my video, because I didn't want to sway anyone's opinions when they were writing their comments, but I enjoy being very hard on myself. I don't think I can be any other way. This is just how I am. I really don't like the idea of censoring myself because I think it might hurt someone else's feelings, because ultimately I don't have control over that. And sometimes I might just be as blunt as, oh, I think this is really bad. And there might not be necessarily an explanation attached to that. But after reading some of the comments, I realized, wow, there are many, many different opinions about this. I really thought it'd be more or less one-sided, but that didn't turn out to be the case. There are very differing opinions on this. So I decided to just go with what I would naturally and normally do anyway, and not be afraid to be very critical and harsh with my own work. And another thing I forgot to mention in that video, I'm very quick to acknowledge when I think I did something well. So I think there's a healthy balance there, at least I think anyway. Anyway, to summarize, I am very disheartened that this painting didn't go according to my expectations, and it is a bummer because I spent a lot of time on it and it feels like I didn't get much out of it, but I have to remind myself, you're never wasting time when you're painting. And I have faith that I learned something from this, and therefore my next paintings will be better as a result. It's weird because I don't quite hate this either, but I don't love it. There's something missing, and I even tried to fiddle around with it in Photoshop and I just can't bring it together. So at this point I am wasting my time. I'm gonna move on, and I'll pick up the series again when I have some new ideas. Now, just as a heads up, I am going to be pretty busy until the end of February. I'm going on a little staycation with my boyfriend in Toronto for about 10 days starting from next Friday. So since I don't want to worry about the YouTube thing while I'm on vacation, I am going to have to pre-record at least 1 or 2 extra videos for the time I'm away from home. So that's gonna be a challenge, and I know that I won't have time to do anything too big for the art in the videos, so I'll probably be doing more studies, more quick sketches, that type of stuff. And I'm actually looking forward to picking up studies again after having done these bigger illustrations back to back in a row. So hopefully I manage to have a video out every week like I have been doing. But if not, and there's a video missing 1 week, then know that I am on vacation and I'll be back. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will see you guys next week. Bye!